troops who were injured in fighting near Baghdad are speaking to the media at Landstuhl Medical Center in Germany. Let's listen in.
Baghdad. And what I did, my job at that point was to be a forward air controller, calling in airstrikes, as well as calling in medevac helicopters to take out our wounded at that time. What I utilized was basically Saddam's front yard. I took the green grass right next to his own pool, and I used that to bring in our CH-46 helicopters from the 3rd Marine Air Wing, which are extremely brave individuals that flew in under very hostile fire. At that time, I was wounded after the 2nd helicopter came in when the enemy were firing a volley of rocket-propelled grenades, referred to as RPGs. Frequently, you'll hear that today. The shrapnel went through my right leg and was wedged kind of like between the bone and the muscle of the shin. By the virtue of the fact that Marines, like the gentleman next to me, the soldier next to me, were obviously more significantly wounded, I stayed on the battlefield for an additional 3 hours to ensure that these Marines who were significantly more wounded than I got out of the battlefield and got to the care that they needed. On the spot, the corpsmen were quick to take care of myself, and then as the battle proceeded for the next hour, I was able to get out on a supply helicopter that once we had control of the palace and the surrounding neighborhoods within the palace. And one thing I would like to say is, while I have this opportunity and I have the mic, that it's absolutely an honor and a privilege to be here as a Marine and as a U.S. citizen participating in this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Corporal David McCown. I served proudly for the last 4 years under 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. I was in my unit. We moved into Baghdad on April 10th. And before moving into Baghdad, we was told that the enemy had, just been occupying buildings. There was no longer a force. It was just individual actions. They had dropped uniforms, so they put on civilian uniforms. So they blended in with everyone else. We was moving in there, hoping to find enemy, pockets of resistance here and there, try to take out the enemy. Upon us entering Baghdad, the Iraqi civilians, greeted us, and they just had open arms. They was cheering for us, giving us everything they had. They was proud that we was there, and they wanted us to be there. They was happy to see us. As we moved through Baghdad, we dismounted troops from our armored vehicles. As they walked the streets, the Iraqis was coming up, shaking our hands, cheering for us. They was proud that we was there to help them. But at the same time, it was also a kind of distraction. It's a good feeling to have these people that, we're out there fighting for them. It's not the Iraqis we have a problem with. It's Saddam and his regime. We moved through Baghdad. The people followed in trace. We decided that we was going to occupy a building for the night in Baghdad. So we went ahead and began to set up our position, set a bunker out in front of the building. The civilians seen what we was trying to do, seen what we was doing, and then, gave us help. They gave us support. There was an Iraqi bunker just across the road. So the civilians, us Marines, we all moved across the road, and we began to move sandbags across the road. I myself grabbed a few other Marines, civilians followed, and as we walked across the road, let my Marines know we're going to carry these sandbags over, and we'll be done. We just need to hurry up and set this up. It was getting late. As we was doing this, and as I was briefing my Marines as what was going on, the civilians noticed one man running up on us. The individual was strapped with explosives. The Iraqi civilians knew this, and they tried to warn us. They was able to pull a number of individuals out of the way. They warned enough people. But me and my fellow 3 Marines that was injured had no idea he was there. Had no idea he was coming up. He got within just a few feet of us. and detonating himself. All 4 of us was medevac shortly after. The Marines, the Navy corpsmen, there was no hesitation to come to our aid. The civilians, they helped us out. They saved a number of individuals from getting hurt as we did. You know, I'm sitting here today and I'm proud to have served my country. I'm proud to be an American.
My name is Paul Stratton, Specialist Paul Stratton. I'm from New York, stationed at Fort Stewart. I belong to Bravo Company 315, 3rd ID out of Fort Stewart. On the morning of April 6th, we moved into Baghdad, north of the Euphrates River. And our first mission was to clear a small little town. And we went through the buildings, cleared it. It was an easy mission. It went smooth. Then we got a second mission to go up a little farther up into Baghdad. As we were moving up there, we got contact. So we dismounted from the Bradleys and took cover under the first bridge. And at that time, we started getting major contact. So we returned fire. And they started dropping mortars on us and RPGs. And so we bounded back about 50 meters to the second bridge. And as soon as we laid down, they hit mortars on our position again. The second mortar, or RPG, I'm not sure which one it was, came in, landed about 10 feet in front of me. I heard the whistle come over my head, so I turned to my left and yelled to our machine gunner to keep his head down. The whistle came in, the explosion went off, me and him both flew in the air. I didn't know I was hit at first, so I heard him screaming, so I got up to go help him. I reached down to grab my weapon, and on my left hand, I couldn't move my left hand. I took shrapnel in between my fingers and went into the center of my hand and out the top of my hand. That's about all I got, but I like to say that the nurses at this hospital have been great. They're like a mother away from home. I can't ask for any better service. I'm proud to wear the uniform. It's a great honor to fight for my country.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's PFC Michael Wayne Meyer. I'm from a small town outside of Austin called Elgin, Texas. I'm with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, which is stationed in Camp Pendleton, California. Basically what happened to me was I was pretty much the whole right flank of a ambush was pretty much directed towards me. Well, what's happening is our company, India Company, was taking fire. It was in a firefight, and my platoon, 3rd Platoon, was in the reserve. And usually, if we're the reserve platoon, we really don't have much to worry about because the Iraqis have either given up or run away by the time they even need the reserves. So we're calmly waiting in the armored personnel vehicle, the Amtrak, when we heard the call to get the reserves out there. So we unloaded, and as we were unloading, running to get behind this big berm, which was a part of an irrigational ditch, we were taking sniper fire. And as we were behind the ditch, we could see the enemy out in the field behind bunkers and bushes and other such things. Well, while we were behind the berm, the field was constantly getting struck by artillery, and Cobra helicopters were flying over and pretty much destroying everything that moved. After a good 15-20 minutes of artillery and Cobra fire, they sent in my platoon, 3rd Platoon, to clear the field, and my squad, which consisted of about 15-16 Marines, covered a good 350 yards of this field. We're spread out walking side by side through the field, and I was on the very, very right side of the whole squad, so I was anything to the right of me was either land or something else. And as we were walking through the field, we were constantly getting fire from the front, and every once in a while, when we'd get fire, we'd get down in the prone, and they'd clear that objective and we'd move on. For some reason, I wasn't too afraid or too scared. I was mainly worried about doing my job and keeping my sectors of fire. And as I was walking, I walked up on about 2 or 3 enemy soldiers that were hiding completely camouflaged behind a bush. I had no clue they were there. They were about 5 feet from me. The only thing that gave them away was them raising their weapon and clicking their weapon off a safe. And as soon as I heard that, I turned to my right and tried to raise my M16, and they had already gotten off 6 shots from their AK-47 assault rifle. And 2 shots struck me in my right arm, the other 2 in my left arm, and the last 2 were into my bulletproof vest, which ended up saving my life. And after the 6 shots struck me, I immediately hit the ground, and I couldn't feel either of my arms, and I had blood running out of my mouth, and I didn't know really what was going on. I knew that I was getting fired upon, and that I was in the front, so I had to wait a little while for my team to get up to me. While that was going on, I was constantly trying to crawl out of there, which I couldn't really do. I think I maybe got a couple inches between the whole firefight. As my fire team was laying down fire for me to try and get out of there, the Navy corpsman named Doc Parra came and ran up there in the line of fire and grabbed me by my flak and drug me out of there and got me some cover and told me I was going to be all right and started patching me up. And that's when the rest of my fire team ran through there and got those guys. And after they patched me up and gave me IV and told me I was going to be all right, they put me on a helicopter, got me to a MASH, and everything was good from there. I'd just like to thank Doc Parra he probably had a big part of saving my life, dragging me out of that fight, and thank my fire team. Thank all the nurses here at this hospital. They've been awesome. And just like to say hi to the Army and Marine guys in 7 Bravo. And that's about it. Thank you.
Well, you've heard their stories. Would like to answer any questions that you might have.
I'd like to ask Private Meyer, like a cat, Private, do you think you have 9 lives?
I guess so. Somebody had been looking for me because a number of things saved my life that day. The bulletproof vest, the corpsman, my fire team. So the guy that couldn't shoot 5 feet away, 8 shots couldn't get me. So just all those, I'd like to thank God.
Mark Lander with the New York Times. Actually, a question for any of you who wants to answer this. Given that, in particular, the guys who were injured on April 10th, was a time in the war when the perception was already that a lot of the really major organized resistance had sort of melted away and it was more sporadic. What was the guidance you were getting from your commanders? Were you told to expect organized, unified, massive resistance, or were you already assuming it was going to take a more sporadic kind of structure, pocket of resistance here, pocket there?
We actually saw, specifically on the guidance that we received from above, was yes to both. We were receiving information that they were going to provide a last stand, if you will, around Baghdad as well as to Tikrit. Baghdad being the first objective, we saw both the formations of infantry as well as the haphazard running of infantry that lacked the ability to fire, maneuver, and communicate in a cohesive manner. Soon they broke down to where they had no formations at all, and that was 100% expected.
The captain was in a different area than I was in. The area we was in, we was told that it was going to be sporadic. Most of their military already dropped their uniforms. We found uniforms laying all around the city. They was giving up, they went to civilian clothes. They was hiding in buildings, and there was no, forces. It was just, small, individuals here and there. Just sporadic fires. It was nothing organized.
Jim.
Jim Murphy with Reuters Television. Corporal McAllen, you had mentioned about the distraction that those civilians caused. While being helpful, it still kind of confused the situation. Do you see that as more of a hindrance, and is there concern over those civilians always being genuine? One time they may be welcoming you, but then someone may walk up and be packed with explosives. How do you deal with that?
Our fight's not with the Iraqi people. The Iraqi people in general are genuine. They're good people. Our fight is with Saddam's regime. The thing is that, you know, they have genuine, feelings. They are good people, and they want to talk to the Marines. Or the military. They love the fact that we're there. They know we're there to help them out. At the same time, you got those individuals who are resisting us, who are fighting us with that our fight is with, that's out there, and they're dropping their uniforms. They're not playing as we would play. They use anything they can to hurt us, and you can't always, tell who's who. So you have to watch who you're dealing with. But the Iraqi people are good people, and they did try to warn us. They will help us out, and they do try to tell us where we can find people. They have given us some good information on where the enemy's located at.
Jeff Mason from Reuters. Can the rest of you gentlemen speak to the reaction or the attitude of the Iraqi people as you were there, and then just kind of describe the conditions and what it's like right now in terms of weather, in terms of food, in terms of morale?
Well, right the day before that the ambush where I got shot, we cleared a pretty big-sized town. I don't know what the name of the town was, but as we're going through, after we pretty much got all the Iraqi army out of there after they fled, they started coming out of their homes, and it was kind of hard because I was posting security with my M16 outside of the armored personnel vehicle, the Amtrak, and as I was going by, I could see people poking their heads out of windows, and I didn't know if they were snipers or if they were just civilians that were scared. So it was really hard to, keep my cool and make sure I was doing my job and not gonna, shoot a civilian or anything. And also, when we were walking through the town, I remember we had to stop. The whole patrol had to stop, so I stopped and got kind of some cover behind a wall, and a kid and his father was walking by, and the kid looked kind of scared of me at first, and he walked right by me. I stuck out my hand to shake his hand, and he came over there with his big smile and shook my hand, and his father shook my hand, and next thing we know, they're coming out with cigarettes and candy and other stuff to give to us, and but at the same time, I think my Lieutenant Heath was kind of getting mad at me because we was kind of causing a ruckus of people getting candy, instead of worrying about our job. But he was right, because you never know what might happen. So, I mean, there are good people that are very glad to see us. That's all.
The other
I would say that the attitude of the Iraqi people was, on a whole, 98% were very enthusiastic to have us there. They were very quick to show that they were not part of the Ba'ath Party or the regime, that we were there to fight. They were there waving at us, cheering our arrival as our vehicles were pulling up. They were very helpful to point out those that were hostile against us, that were trying to hide and blend with them. They were quick to show us their enemy positions that were poised to hit us. They were very helpful. As far as the conditions inside of Iraq right now as it exists, I can only speak how it existed on the 10th of April. The tide is, there's a feeling in the air, not only among the U.S. forces, but also in the Iraqi people, that things are looking better. The sun is coming out. The 25 years of cloud cover of, torture and totalitarian regime is now ended. And it's time for everybody to come out. It's nice. It feels good to be there.
Anybody else? Panos?
I was just wondering when the ambush happened, or when you were actually caught behind those bushes.
Right.
What day was that?
I'm not exactly sure what date that was. I can tell you that I was about 10 miles south of Baghdad when that happened, so we were pretty close. And like I said, about the first week after I was shot and everything, I don't really remember that much. I was so cracked up and high on morphine. I don't remember much. So that's a good thing too. I mean, they don't let you get in any pain around here. I like that. So.
For Captain Basco, can you tell us a little bit more about the presidential palace? We've heard a lot of descriptions about how open it was. Were you inside? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
You're interested in the inside of the palace?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It's always good to talk to Fox News. The palace inside was a lot less than I was expecting, to be honest with you. The palace had already endured 3 JDAM bombs that had gone in and done some redecorating, if you will. Once we got in there and we started to go through it, I was actually really surprised by the lack of facilities within the palace. You know, I always envisioned that he would have the finest in technology as far as entertainment centers and stuff like that. In actuality, in his bedroom, he had a black and white television, RCA. The VCR that he had looks like it came out of 1975. It had the wood laminate stickers, wood panel stickers on the side. He had a microwave, I remember, down in his kitchen to heat up stuff that, the kind of the old rotary dial where you had to, spin in how many minutes you want and then hit the big green button. None of it was modern. As far as what he did inside the palace, it was decorated with a lot of gold paint and a lot of gold plastic. I was expecting, like in Elvis Presley's house, you'd see these faucets made of real gold. Well, Saddam Hussein's master bathroom, in fact, was made of plastic gold. Everything was plastic. I was expecting fine Italian marble from Italy, but no, it was all plastic and veneer. Very surprising. His own bed, I was in his bedroom about 20 minutes before I got hit as we cleared the palace, and he had pink sheets. Made, just cheap pink sheets. I'm surprising. It is humorous, but that's not the intent. I was just let down by the lavishness. I was expecting more. Inside the palace compound itself, he had a palace that was slightly smaller than his own on the right side, on the northern side, for Uday, his son, and one on the southern side for his other son, Kusay. And you could tell the character of those individuals by the way they decorated the insides of their palaces, with paintings of, all their paintings were of conquests, of destroying and crushing an army throughout the house. It gives you an idea of what their mindsets were. But nothing too lavish. They were absolutely destroyed. Swimming pool in the back was drained of all its water from the explosions. All the windows were blown out. The conditions outside the palace were stable as far as, the buildings were still holding up. They had endured a lot of fire, both from the JDAM strikes as well as the heavy machine guns that the Iraqis were trying to fire at us continuously over the course of the 7 hours. And a lot of the roofs have come down while we were there. But overall, it was less than I was expecting, if that answers your question.
Hi, Mark Honecker with ABC News. Private Meyer, I was wondering, you've been in the military for less than a year. Did you ever think you'd be on the front lines outside of Baghdad? And then secondly, what were the other 2 injuries that you sustained? Where were those? And it doesn't mention you.
To answer your first question, I remember back in boot camp, back at around about August 12th time, and when I first went to Marine Corps boot camp, MCRD San Diego, we'd get newspapers every Sunday and we'd read about how there might be possible war with Iraq, and we're like, we don't even have to worry about this, but by the time they start this war, it'll be about 3 days, it'll be over with. We're never going to go to war. So it kept on dragging on, and we're like, are we ever going to go to war? And well, I ended up graduating boot camp, and they still hadn't gone to war with them. And I went to my MOS school, which is my job training school, which is a basic rifleman, and they still hadn't gone to war with them. And our instructors were like, you better pay attention to this stuff, because you're probably going to be going to war. And we're like, nah, we ain't going to go, just being normal 18-year-old boots in the Marine Corps. And then we graduated SOI, and we went to Camp Margarita, which is at Camp Pendleton. We were in a holding company to get on a bird to fly over to Iraq. And I remember the gunner, the chief warrant officer, came out there and told us, he said, y'all better get y'all's acts together, because in 2 weeks, I got to get you on a bird to fly over to Iraq. And that's when it hit us. We're like, what? You know, what do you say? So that's when I finally knew that I was going over to Iraq. And then when we got to Kuwait, I sat around for maybe a week while my unit was there for a month, and they were telling me that they had got numerous different deadlines that they were going to cross the line of departure, and they're all telling me that we're probably never going to go. And even there, I had doubts in my mind that we weren't going to go. And it wasn't until the night of that we crossed the line of departure that I knew that I was going to war. So, and it's not a joking matter at all. It's no World War II, it's no Vietnam, but still people have died for their country, and the people have been injured. So it's no joke. It's still a war.
Stefan?
I'm with CBS Radio. Private Meyer, you got hit about 10 miles south of Baghdad. Are you sorry? Do you regret you never made Baghdad?
Well, not really. I mean, I don't know how to really answer that question. I guess if my guys were, you know, in tremendous firefights all the way through and were getting wounded, I'd regret getting hit and not being able to be there with them. But I don't know. I don't really have any regrets since I got shot 8 times and caught some shrapnel and stuff like that. So, no, I don't. It wasn't a big goal to me to reach Baghdad. My goal was to protect my Marines to the left and right of me and to come home alive. So that was my main goal.
Any other questions?
Just a Associated Press, by the way, I didn't say that. Just a question on the shrapnel. Where did the shrapnel come from? You got hit by bullets and then...
Right. The shrapnel came from we have a M203 which shoots 40 millimeter grenades, and that came from my fire team, which was giving me support. And I'll tell you what, I'll take shrapnel any day for my life, because those 40 millimeter grenades saved my life when they were giving me cover. Just like to thank my fire team for shooting those over there, saving my life.
Yes, please.
Have you had, Jeff Mason again from Reuters, have you had contact with your families, and what's your next move from here?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I contacted my family 2 days after I got hurt, and it's been really easy to contact my family. Like I said, the ladies at the hospital have been really great. If you need anything, they'll get it for you. Next move from here, I go to Walter Reed Hospital for 2 more surgeries on my hand. Then got a therapy to go through. And that's it.
I contacted my family the second day I was here. Gunnery Sergeant Clark in the hospital, he works for the Marine Liaison, came and gave me a cell phone. He called my dad and he said, Mr. Meyer, I'm here with your son. And my dad was kind of worried about that point, and I got on the phone and I was like, Dad, I've been shot about 8 times, but I'm okay. I'm still kicking. And he started laughing, and it was pretty good to go. So.
And your next move?
Next move is to get better, get home to drive my freshly new painted 1974 Corvette, thanks to Chris at Gressner's Collision Center there in Elgin, and just ready to jump in that thing, cruise around Austin.
I contacted my family just before I left Kuwait. Well, actually, someone contacted my family before I did, so I was able to call my family up and listen to my mom cry and spaz out for about 10 minutes, So I eventually calmed her down, talked to her, let her know I was all right. But once I left Kuwait and I got back over here, I was able to, to let her know what happened, but she already knew. And, I just informed the family that, I'm okay. They're taking real good care of me out here. And as for my next move, I'm not ready to move. This is like vacation out here. I'm just laying around in the bed, getting fed and getting taken care of, Why do I want to go anywhere else?
They handed a phone to me while I was laying on a stretcher, a satellite phone, just so I could let my family know. They were awesome. It's all from the colonel all the way back down to the Navy corpsman that was right there. It's part of that support that I received immediately. And right there at the battalion, at the site of the battle. At 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, they're really good about that. My next move is to go home and corpsman that was right there. It's part of that support that I received immediately, and right there at the battalion, at the site of the battle. At 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, they're really good about that. My next move is to go home and see my lovely wife. That's all I really care about right now.
Here, and then Mark.
Mike Lee, ABC. You were spoken about your medical treatment and so forth. Can you talk, any of you, for a moment about what emotional and psychological support you received and how important that is?
It's always been an option to us if we wanted it. We could always have psychiatrists or anybody just come in and talk to us. And in our ward at 7 Bravo, we've got kind of they got it set up to where we're in all of our beds are in a waiting room kind of type deal. And there's 3 Marines and 3 soldiers in the Army in that one room, and we kind of encourage each other every day to get up and walk a little further, get on our crutches, and it's a really good deal. We're always cracking jokes about the Marine Corps, cracking jokes about the Army, so we have a good time in there. It's a blast.
There was 4 of us injured in the blast, and I was the first one up walking around, and thank God, our corpsman, he's reported as a Marine, and you know what, to all of us out there, he is a Marine. He does everything we do. He finally went home yesterday. He got hit pretty bad, and so did the others, and I'm the only one walking around. And I try so hard to take care of them Marines, because what I did and what they did, it's all important to us. And it's just the worst part about all this, I'm thankful that it happened to me, because, if it wasn't me, it was going to be someone else. And I just worry about my Marines out there who came to our aid and helped us out there. It devastated them. We're all one family. We work we've worked together, sleep, eat, fought amongst each other, but you know what, we're a family. And to see someone in your family get hurt, it takes a lot out of you. And, I was just concerned about those Marines, but you know what, like I said, we're all Marines and we're all family. I know, they dealt with it, and they're pushing on, and they're doing a great job, and I'm proud of all those guys.
I think to answer the question that I believe you were asking was with regard to the medical we're receiving around here and what they offer. I mean, everywhere I look, like, for example, Specialist Duke back there, I mean, he's everywhere. They're all everywhere to help you. You need for nothing. You need for no comfort. You need for no supplies, clothes, nothing. They take care of us 110%. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, I wish the rest of the world could see what we get here. It's just phenomenal. It's not a show because you guys are here. It's not a show because we got wounded in combat and that, senators and congressmen come around and walk around now, that this sort of quality is here for us. I mean, it's really not. And I hope that it's not characterized as such. Very genuine.
I'd like to comment on that. They call us heroes, but I think, they come around and get a bunch of congressmen and a bunch of 4-star, 3-star generals come around and say, well, you're a good hero. But honestly, I think the hero is the nurses in the hospitals. I mean, that's what we did was our job. We just did our job, and these ladies and these men are real heroes. I think they should be honored more than they're getting.
I concur.
And Lieutenant Jones, man, you're the best.
Every one of them. Every one of them.
Mark, you have the last question?
Well, it's been wonderful hearing from those young men, all wounded in theater, but clearly they're doing quite well, talking about the excellent care they've received, not only from the United States, but as well from the Iraqis. One of the guys there saying he's alive because a bunch of Iraqi civilians said, hey, watch out, and they saved his life.
Right. In fact, that guy right there, center stage, Marine Captain Sean Basco, started one of his answers with, well, it's always good to talk to Fox News, and we will be talking to him live from Germany very shortly. In the meantime, the guy down at the other end from Texas, your neck of the woods.
Elgin, Texas, yep.
Exactly. He said he was able to get on the phone a couple days after he was injured and said, Dad, I've been shot 8 times, but I'm fine. Which is, he also said that he would like to get better and get home.
Get that kind of a phone call?
No kidding. I've been shot 8 times, but I'm fine. All right, 23 minutes before the top of the next hour. Big news in the world of terror yesterday.